Welcome back, everybody. I'm Betty, and happy November. Hope you're all enjoying the fall, especially if you're living in the Northern Hemisphere. The Venus light codes that came in were absolutely amazing. I certainly was feeling these intense waves of satisfaction and contentment and love. And I hope you all were feeling them too, because it was well needed as we have all this other revolutionary energy that's also occurring at the same time. So when that entered, it really was wonderful to feel, to kind of help balance out that edginess. Certainly, you can feel people that are very agitated and irritable at this point because of the energies. So those Venus codes were certainly welcome. And as harmonic codes, these were meant to smooth out those rough edges that we've all been experiencing globally as the planet continues to just deconstruct during this time period. And this will go on for a few more years. And this is just part of the cycle. So when we realize that, we kind of take a deep breath and have some patience, knowing that this will complete and we will start to feel a different type of energy at that time. The retrograde has phased out, thankfully, because it was a particularly rough one for everybody, myself included, which I normally does not affect me, but it certainly did this time around. And so that is now phased out. So we have till the end of December before the next one begins again. But we also have the portals that are open right now with the eclipse passageway. And those codes are starting to come in at this point. And you're going to feel a lot of heart and solar plexus activations. So you may be experiencing certain symptoms, such as heart palpitations for the heart, again, those feelings of bliss and love. And then also with the solar plexus, you may have some discomfort in that area as that's being activated and worked on. We also, as our magnetic field is growing thinner and thinner, which again is normal, it's nothing to panic about, this is part of the process. As it thins, we have now come to this time of Halloween, which every year is always a time when the veils are the thinnest. Hence, you've all the ghost stories over the years and people seeing apparitions and things like that, because we get that glimpse through the veil at that time. So if you should experience or see things, it's quite normal. And for those that have the sight to see, this is something they see on a daily basis. So it is also a time of what is celebrated and honored is called the Festival of the Day of the Dead, which is usually in Mexico and different regions where they honor the ancestors. So if you'd like to honor your ancestors, light a candle, put some food out, enjoy the food, and just tap into them and say thank you for what they have brought to us and have given us. And they were the way showers that came ahead of us to kind of pave the way as we're paving the way for so many others to come behind us. So it's a good time to thank your ancestors and honor them. So November will be a very interesting month. We have the full moon and the total lunar eclipse coinciding, hence calling it the blood moon. And this happens to fall on the 8th of November, which happens to be in the US, our election day. So this is going to be very, very interesting. I've been picking up on a lot of energies, very revolutionary energies, and that might be a heightened day. It's nothing to worry about, but people are really going to come out in force, especially women, to vote because of the many different issues that are going on. It feels very fiery and very passionate. And of course, I keep seeing the symbolisms of fire and also red, the color red. Everywhere I go, it just seems to be popping up all around with the blood moon, with Venus, with, I've been seeing red dragonflies, red mushrooms, cardinals, leaves, and so on. So it's a very fiery, passionate energy. So we may see, not only in this country, but in other countries, those revolutionary protests for basically injustices that have challenged the human race over time. And this is a good thing as long as everyone remembers to do it peacefully. Make your voice be heard, but do it peacefully. There's no need to damage anybody else's property or to trash things or to yell at those that don't have the same beliefs. So just try to remember during this time to do, we all have a voice and it can all be heard, but do it in a peaceful manner. And this is happening also because we need to let go of the old programming, the old systems that no longer apply anymore. And so we can expect to see and feel these great movements not only happening in the US but in other parts of the country, where you can also see places like Iran and Russia, China. You're going to see them kind of stepping up, and other places as well, because they've just had enough. And they want the change. They're looking for the change. And you're going to see this in yourself also. So you're going to see and feel the changes inwardly, but also outwardly as well. So these injustices can be righted at this point. And of course, it always is a process, but you have to start it to be able to get through that process to the other side. A couple of weeks ago, I actually felt Gaia shaking and shuddering under my feet. And I live in New York, and I thought that we were actually having an earthquake. It was that potent. And they were basically just allowing me to feel in that she too is releasing all the old patterns and all the remnants of a now completed cycle. She too is finished with that old cycle. And the disruptions that are in essence a planned detour for us to be able to shift and change business as usual. Okay, so again, it's because we are making these cosmic leaps at this time. So they're saying to me now, expect detours. And I've seen this with so many people in sessions and speaking to people, on the outside, that they were all headed in one direction. And now we're at almost a pause and are not sure where they're headed before it picks up again. And may take a little bit. I've been certainly hearing March. March is going to be a very pivotal month, and I'm going to have to look into that a little bit more because I'm not sure what's going to be happening. It's just that month keeps jumping out. So, and they're saying, okay, thank you. They're saying to me now that also March is going to be a moving forward point, a jumping off point. So if you felt stagnant, still confused, not sure where you're headed, March will bring about to kind of move forward again and to give you some clarity as far as that goes. Because so many people have changed not only the way they do things, but change their jobs, their spouses, their relationships, jobs, everything. So everything is just kind of flipping at this point, and it's all meant. So while we go through this, again, just remember to detach from it all and just have patience, because it's all going to work out. And from a cyclical point, there's always that cycle of and that viewpoint where we fall, we rise, and then we are. We're coming into the evolution of who we truly are, which has never occurred on this planet before, and we're coming into that point. We're bridging and evolving as we enter this next stage of higher consciousness. And it's going to be a very different world from what we are living now. Even though we've moved into the higher dimensions and we've been there for a while now, people are just kind of catching up and realizing at this point. And some, unfortunately, won't. And that's the way they will stay until they go. So don't try to change anybody, because it's not going to happen. But part of the higher consciousness is shedding false beliefs and patterns that we held because that's what we were taught, what society showed us. And one aspect of this, that these beliefs are surrounding rejection. And the Council of Light had come forth to share these messages, to bring them to the forefront of how rejection affects every one of us. And when we feel rejected, it is because we view ourselves as being separate from Source, which couldn't be any farther from the truth. We are never, ever separated from Source or each other. It's just that's how we feel once we come to Earth. And we've all experienced the sting and hurt of being rejected. No one escapes that if you're on Earth. That's part of the learning curve. To be rejected, to feel unloved, unwanted, or different affects every one of us. And the aspects regarding rejection may have begun in early childhood, where you may have received little or none emotional support, or where love was withheld as a form of manipulation or control. And I'm sure you can all relate to that. Well, Johnny, you got to do this, or I'm not going to give you my love. Which is really not the way to be, but so many of us have experienced that. And so you experience that early in childhood in one way or another. And then you move into the teenage years, which is always a rough time anyway. And the rejection continues within school. So where you feel you don't fit in. You may be rejected by your peers or those in authority for one reason or another. And, that further instills the rejection again. So now you continue, right? You continue from child to school, and now you're out in the workspace. And you may have had a brilliant idea, but that might have been passed by because people will say, well, they're laughing at you and saying, well, it can't be done that way. That's not the way it works, or that's a stupid idea. There are never any stupid ideas, but you may have a clear vision of how something could work better, but yet others will reject you because they cannot see it in a different light. and say that simply can't be done that way. Again, leaving you feel belittled and unappreciated, deepening those feelings of rejection again. And then the granddaddy of all rejection is love. And we've all experienced this too. Everyone has been in love with someone who has not loved them back, whether secretly or openly. And that can be a very cruel rejection, if you attach to it. Having a broken heart, again, is part of being on the earth in one way, shape, or form. And at that juncture, it leaves you feeling with, what's wrong with me? Why have I been rejected all my life? Why does nobody love me? And again, that's not the truth. And the council would share with you that this is an illusion. This illusion stems from beliefs that we are separate from something or someone, which is the farthest thing from the truth. We are all connected. We are never not connected, as we are a fractal of Source, of God. We come down here to learn from our experiences to help us grow spiritually. And we are always connected to each other and Source. As I see it in others, it's just this, to me, it's just this beautiful light of thread. A thread of light, I should say. And it can be like a blue-white thread, or it can be a gold thread. And I see, thank you, and it could be a silver thread, depending on what I'm looking at. And so if you can imagine those threads running to everybody, and then heading and being that threaded into Source itself. So we are always connected, even if you don't feel that way. And sometimes you may feel blocked or alone, but know that when you get rejected or feel rejected in one way, shape, or form, that is also a redirection. So rejection is a redirection. And that can be a plethora of reasons, which, the simplest would be that's not for your highest good. That's not the path, and you need to go on a higher path in a different direction. But also, from a higher perspective, you will have completed or fulfilled a lesson, a cycle, or a season. You're just done with it. And that something will be coming, something has or will be coming to a close, so you can move on to something better. I know myself, in many, many times, I had to close a cycle in order to move forward and into that higher trajectory. And when I did, even though it came from a place of hurt, I realized in hindsight it was the best thing for me, and I was happy and content where I ended up. So this can happen also with you. It's the same thing. You don't always realize it until afterwards and you take a look at it. And a second aspect of rejection is self-doubt. This too is an illusion. Your thoughts may deceive you and say, well, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm unlovable. And again, these are old beliefs, and that's why you're always feeling rejected because of that. And again, it's that illusion. You are lovable. You are of value. You are important. You are part of the puzzle piece down here that needs to be fit in. And sometimes that puzzle piece doesn't fit in that spot. You know, no matter how you turn it, it can't fit. And that's when it's time for you to understand that, okay, it's time for me to move forward. But that is just an illusion of being rejected. No one can cast you out because we are all linked together. And we are part of the whole, which is Source. We are in constant communication with each other, whether you're tuned into it or not. I'm sure many times you've thought of a person, for example, and then all of a sudden that person called you. That's that invisible thread that we're all connected, and you're picking up on others' energies and thoughts. So again, this is that part of that connection. And it's about relearning who you truly are, who we truly are. And that is, we're a divine light being that's just come to earth to learn our lessons. And that rejection is part of an old operating system that, again, I repeat, that is no longer valid anymore. It doesn't work anymore. So just remind yourself, if you're in that feeling of rejection or asking yourself why, know that this is an illusion because we are all connected. Don't give in to those old energies. Shift them. Shift them by giving yourself self-love and knowing your worth and filling yourself with confidence that this occurred for a reason, that it's a redirection. And also, by maintaining a higher vibrational state, you also don't get into that spot of being rejected because you're detached from that. And you realize that it's for your highest best, whatever is occurring in your life. So everything can be falling apart, but there's good reason for it. And you should actually, and I know this sounds weird, but you should actually be thankful and happy for it, as crazy as that sounds. To remember all these things, that you are worthy, that you are of value, you matter, you're loved. And what you experience in this lifetime is priceless, whether you feel that way or not. But even if you don't recognize it, you will after a period of time goes by. And you'll realize that after that time has passed, you realize the worth of that rejection and how, if you had not moved on, it would have been a detriment for you. And by moving on and realizing that that is an illusion, you can move forward with grace and ease. And some of you are probably going, yeah, Betty, that's easier said than done. And it is, but it's about coming into that awareness. And once you are, then you have that knowledge that enables you to shift that. Okay. So food for thought this month. Food for thought to think about that, because there will be things coming up in the world that, we need to go deeper and have that inner shift. Know that this is just part of it. It's an illusion, and to shift into those higher trajectories. And if you're looking for assistance in bypassing these old linear codes and systems, because I know many are searching for help at this point, and you are ready to raise your frequencies and trajectory, consider booking a light language session where we can go into things on a deeper level and bring things out into the light so you can have clarity and be able to move forward. So if you're interested, for more information, you can visit my site. I have it listed in the box below. So if you're interested in that. This month's November light language transmissions are going to be the activations for the Venus codes, for the eclipse codes, and for confidence. So that is really well needed this month, to have that confidence of moving forward. So I'm going to bring those forward and just relax and let them come in. Don't try to, everybody's going, try to listen to the words. Don't worry about that. Just allow it to come into you. Take it into your heart space and into your body. Ya kuiste anea yukuno nena ya tuye ya ta a uku usta anea areano soya perendute anea ya ku ina brianti este yuku initi arietianya surta inia su uta a ayana akoriene ana asu areano so di areato shadeinya ne su usta na aku orota a neasa yerevia kusta nea eniki oroto ankoro tema a nea tu tataena no urota su usta anenia via tusta maya nea kuin disu uta karayata aye koro kosti la kore temia nea se itiatea nea kuya nasa Manuoria neaka aratea na ya tutea neaku taishe neatuia karana ayaku uratan pakpakta ashtu uta arenia arete yosuiti arenia nia sute aka dai nanu ne akapuka ala areane su ara anu uko ishte ana akre tushte mi ati ishte ita uruta ana ae bakta anu urte eta elia uka ana are iara u ia akushta na anemia tuye bianea tu su aratu orampa a sariante okuye namea kia tu yishtena Teia urantaya ya naya sutea o korona ye anaya she te pia tuye naria te pia no na roma aka na toro tu actrea no suia te ana tuye mia tu aranya tu su arete te mia kiata Pa yuyena na te apia yene aku ne biri siachokusta aramaya kuranta aratea titi ana tuye bakbaktane ashate atu. Gorita na rahlahmahto kasha Rate o mane okoye darianaya latia tushe Maria tuyaneaku masuyanai nariokuya tayatasu Maria pia are tu sheniata empere tuste ina uku asare. And it is so. May you be filled with the light of love. Thank you. And have a blessed and abundant November. And I'll see you next time. Take care.